Happy Monday to everybody. It is episode 7 of the Foxhole feed, wrapping up TGS this past weekend. Lots of big announcements came, lots of interesting games came out, and I know with all the interest that comes with those games also comes the revelation of some of these titles may not even release over here in the West. So I thought I'd make an episode essentially wrapping up what will come, what's like a 50-50 could come, could not come, and what is more than a 50-50 is very likely based on past history. So let's get right into it. Gravity Rush Remastered is very much coming to the West. That's the remaster that was announced for the PlayStation 4. That's coming in February 9th, 2016. The new Bloodborne DLC, the Bloodborne Expansion pack, is coming November 24th. Star Ocean 5 is going to be coming February 2016, to be announced for the West in terms of a specific release date, but it is confirmed to be coming to the West nonetheless. So it's coming here, they just don't have a date for when it'll be here, but it's confirmed to be coming here. Dark Souls 3 is confirmed to be coming worldwide, April 2016. Samurai Warriors 4 Empires is coming to the West early 2016. Square Enix's Project Setsuna, which I actually went over on episode 2, like the breaking day of TGS, or I would say the first press event the day before TGS. They had a trailer for that game. I'll link it below if anybody is unfamiliar with that game, and in fact I'll just link episode 2 below so folks have an understanding of what some of the games are being announced here or being revealed here in terms of dates. It's been confirmed for early 2016. It's been confirmed for the West, but not a specific date, so they don't have a window for it either, just like they don't have one for Star Ocean, but they have an understanding that it's coming to the West. Now, I only have a few 50-50s, only based on most of the titles that I put for highly likely had great reasoning why they were highly likely to come to the West. And the ones I put under 50-50 were special cases due to really their own history. The history of some titles came, some titles didn't. For the 50-50, I put Yakuza 6 and Yakuza HD Remake. Why do I say this? Merely because though Yakuza 5 is coming to the West on the PlayStation 3 later this year, and you might feel like, okay, well that means Yakuza 6 will come, you would have to question why Kenzan didn't come, why, Yakuza 0 didn't come, and, with some others. So this series is a hit or miss. Some come over here to the West, some don't. And the ones that didn't come here to the West haven't come in a long time. So 5 is coming, but there are several others. There's one that came out in the very beginning of the PlayStation 3 generation that never came to the West. So these are hit or misses. 5 is coming, yeah. I mean, 6 may not come. Yakuza HD may not come. In fact, Yakuza 6 coming to the West might have a lot to do with Yakuza 5 being good here. Like, this game has to do really well here, I feel, for Sega to consider bringing Yakuza 6 over to us. It gets hard to ask a company to release a title to you when you're not buying the other title that they're releasing. It costs them money to localize these titles, and because of the heavy text and because of all the text that's in the game, it's not an easy title to localize over here. I mean, I hope they come here, but this is a huge 50-50. I see these titles coming here. I see these titles not coming here. There's good reason not to, and there's good reason to bring them. So it's a hard one to say whether I could say they would come here or not. I mean, though you had Yakuza 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 5 coming over here, you still don't have Kenzan. You still don't have 0. I mean, and you may not get the HD remake. I can't even say HD remake, just remake period. It's not just being put in HD, it is remade all over. So those two titles may not come here. You know, it really remains to be seen with those. Another title I'd like to bring up is Dragon Quest Builders. Now, I kind of flip-flopped on this one and thinking that, okay, maybe it would come to the West because it's builders, it's like Minecraft, and it looks like it appeals to the West, and it's not really the main RPG of the Dragon Quest series, and that's sort of what made me say, well, maybe that might be a reason why it won't. Now, all the main Dragon Quests, or most of the main Dragon Quests, have come here. Some of the Dragon Quests have not come here to the West at all. This is a title that is coming early in Japan 2016 with no mention of the West. If there's a mention of the West and I'm leaving it up because I didn't read it somewhere, I apologize for that. If it is, I'll keep searching and I'll link it below if it actually is. If it's not, I'll do my best to search, but I don't think it is. If they're telling you that Project Sensuna is coming over here 100% guaranteed to the West, I would assume that sort of means that you would already know from right off the bat this title is, because this title's in gameplay, it's working, it's coming early 2016, it has a date and everything, where I don't feel it makes sense to sort of tell us about this Project Sensuna game that is just heavily Japanese, very traditional, very turn-based, and then show something like Dragon Quest with, that's very Western-like, but has no release date, but it's clearly coming sooner than this Project Sensuna game to us. And if they're not going to have a release date for Dragon Quest, but they have it for this other brand new IP, something's telling me this title may not come here. I could be wrong. They could be really saving it for a specific date, and it really could be coming here. But, I don't know. I might be looking too deep into this. But as of right now, it's going to remain on 50-50s. It could come here, could not. Now, this segment I'm saving for titles that are highly likely based on past history. Now, title that I really liked out of E3, I would say Tokyo Game Show, I would say my top titles that I really liked that were not seen before in working order, I would say would be Project Sensuna, and this game, 13 Sentinel Aegis Rim. This is done by Vanillaware. They're the team that did Odin Spear and Dragon's Crown, and one of my favorite looking titles that came out of Tokyo Game Show this year. This title, I feel, is likely more than most to come here because, like I stated before, they did Odin Spear, they did Dragon's Crown, and Odin Spear is being remade by this team again, or being remade, period. It's coming out next year, so if that's coming here to the West and they're remaking it, then clearly it's more likely that this title is also going to be coming to the West as well. Now, the company that they have publishing Aegis Rim is a company that is very much known to release titles to the West anyway. So Atlas is publishing this, and most of Atlas's titles that they publish head over here to the West anyway. So because Atlas is publishing it, I have no doubt in my mind it's going to end up here. No confirmed release date, but it's one of those likelinesses. It's not, I don't put it at a 50-50 because I don't believe there's any chance it's not. I don't think it's that under that. I put it at that 90. There's a 10% chance I might be wrong and that this thing is only in Japan for whatever reason. Another game I would like to say would be King of Fighters 14. That's a highly likely coming here without being confirmed, because most did. And King of Fighters 13 came here to the West last generation. I expect no different with this game this generation. Saga Scarlet Grace, which was announced from Square, from their new Saga series, or rebringing back the Saga series, which has been absent for almost 10 years now. This title, very likely to come here because most of their titles came here. They were known as first one was known as Final Fantasy Legend, which came here for the handhelds. Because they came here, most of the titles, with the exception of I believe 2 titles, and one of the titles was like on PC or something, and it was like a browser type game, most of them come over here. So this title is probably going to come here, and I could tell you that, okay, maybe it's because it has a Western name, and it's most likely to come here because it's in English, but the reality is some of the titles that don't make it over to the West still have English names, so that could be a thing that doesn't happen. So that's not 100% guaranteed. This title, highly likely. I put it at the 90. One Piece Burning Blood. Since 2005, most of this series titles have come here to the West, since the popularity of the One Piece show sort of struck the West, along with Naruto and Bleach, and around that time period, a lot of those series, those Shonen Jump shows came out over here. So it's very likely that it's going to be coming here. I don't know of too many of them that don't. Danganronpa 3, very, very, very likely, as almost all the entries have come to the West. Though 3 hasn't been announced for us to come here, we know it's probably coming here. It's one of those, we know it's coming. Doesn't really need to be stated that much. I mean, we could get one that skips an entry. I actually don't think it's likely with this. I believe this one's coming to the West. Naho, its release is 2016 in the East. It's likely just based on Koei. Koei releases a lot of their titles over here. Most of their titles will come and have Western releases. The main character of this game, I might say, might be the reason why I think it's coming here, because he looks like Geralt. Not just because he looks like Geralt, but because he just looks like a Westerner. And he's not coming in here with that anime look on his face. He looks like he was made to target the Western audience. I don't want to get too deep in marketing with you guys, but that I'm trying to drive the point that if you're going to make the main character look like this, clearly you have your sights set on, the West taking this series and running with it. It's an action game. It's not this niche type of thing. They're seeking that Western audience with this title, and I'm going to say 90% it's happening, if not more than 90% it's happening and coming here. Exist Archive, the RPG, it's coming out November 26th in Japan. The team's past titles have come to the West. So Tri-Ace's past titles have come here before. So this game, again, being no different than the last ones, I don't see it not coming here. I see it likely that it's coming, because not even just because of the English name. It's just the gameplay style. A lot of it seems like it's also geared to West. And I think it's going to come over here. I think it's likely it'll come here. Dead or Alive Extreme 3. Now, I could have made another category just for Dead or Alive Extreme 3. The whole series has come to the West. There's no reason why the third won't. I mean, they haven't announced it coming here, but come on, it's coming here. It just seems very hard to not see this one coming here, but the last several came here. No, it's definitely going to come over here to the West. Attack on Titan, major anime, very likely coming to the West. Especially since they're not using the Japanese name of it. The Japanese name for the stuff that they got for what they signify this IP as in Japan is not called Attack on Titan. They name it by its Japanese name, and to have it titled Attack on Titan on all the stuff that's there, it's clear they know it's going to have a Western release. And most Japanese game titles, or most Japanese anime games, make it here to the West anyway. I would say most major ones around this time period where they gain huge popularity, they make it here. Now, I put some titles down below that I felt were more than likely, don't even need to tell you more than likely, and that is World of Final Fantasy, first shown at E3. So it's first shown to the West, so that's sort of telling you something about who they're gearing it towards. Very likely coming towards the West. I see no reason why World of Final Fantasy won't make it here. Kingdom Hearts 2.8 doesn't even need to be questioned. It's going to come here to the West. Don't even need to have that on a list on here. It's happening. And Resident Evil Umbrella Corps just for last, because what the actual F's, it's going to be coming here. It's competitive action game now. It's going to come here, no doubt. They are aiming for the West with that title. I don't need to tell you that's coming over here to the West. Lots of news to go over for most of the cast today, but this wraps it up for the TGS stuff. Next small segment I'm going to have is just going to go back to normal game news that happened over the weekend that I would say is non-Tokyo Game Show news. Okay, before we get back to some normal outside of TGS news, let me just wrap up the TGS stuff by stating that this year's Tokyo Game Show was their second biggest in the convention's history. So this year was really big. A big, huge plus for Japanese gaming as things are getting really better over there. So that's cool to hear that this was a big event for them this year. I would say I was more excited this year than most years. Not only for Persona 5, but for Final Fantasy 15 news, for Kingdom Hearts news, just so much titles that lots of people are, even RE7. I was interested to see if this would be the place that that title would get announced, or even Revelations 3, to be honest. So lots of titles people wanted to be announced, even though lots of that didn't happen. We still got great surprises and lots of great games, so that's really cool to see that the event is growing like that. So I hope that means that lots of these publishers will understand that Japan is a big place, and Japan is growing in terms of gaming interest. So console gaming is not dead, y'all. Japan's still running shit over there. Back to our normal scheduled news. I got a little rumors that are coming out here, but rumors with some sort of substantial base. Now, Quantic Dreams has been quiet for some time now after their release of Beyond Two Souls. The only notable thing that I've heard anything about this team, and I don't even believe it's by the team themselves, was that Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain are getting ported to the PlayStation 4. Now, I don't even believe that's by Quantic Dreams. That probably is by another team. But that's the only time I even saw on, let's say, anything official PlayStation of this team being even named, even though I don't believe they're doing that work. So they've been quiet for some time now. I bring this up because there's a rumor out that with something a little substantial that it could be related to a tech demo that was released years ago called the Kara tech demo. Now, if you guys haven't seen this tech demo before, very interesting. Cyborg stuff going on, cybernetics and augmented life. It looks really awesome, and it's about a robot being put to life, and they're putting all the body parts together and giving it a personality, and it's starting to become, conscious of, significant life. It's starting to become self-aware of its existence, and the guy in this little short tech demo has to, put it to sleep. Basically, he's like, well, we can't keep you alive because you're too real, you're, having too much emotion, you're being too self-aware, and you're here for a product. You're not here to, to defy people and to, be emotional, and to, you're not there for you, you're here for everyone else. So, robot begins pleading for its life, and then finally, the guy gives in and, lets the robot live. Now, this has been seen millions of times. I think that video, last time I checked, it was like in the deep mill. It was probably like 9 or 6. It's probably more now. So I'm gonna leave a link at the bottom so you guys could actually see that. I know I'll be able to find it. Leave a link at the bottom. You guys will be able to check it out. But looking at the link I'm now going to post to you guys, that's going to be just below that, is something called Singularity PlayStation 4. If you guys look up what Singularity is, dealing with like black holes and event horizon and all that, crazy quantum, stuff, it could be something to do with cybernetics. It could, be due to something about robots. For all we know, that the Kara tech demo could be, this game that has a domain now. So we know it's for PlayStation 4 because the domain kind of says so, and we know it's by Quantic Dream because it's them who are opening the domain. So it's very likely that that's it. I mean, if somebody else made this domain and faked everything, they went a far way to fake something that they gave no one a big tip about. I've so far not really found this anywhere. So this very much could be Quantic Dream's next game. If it's not their next game, all we know is the title, and we knew the title Horizon, and we knew a lot more information about Horizon before it was announced, like that it was gonna have robot dinosaurs and shit. So we knew a lot of wild shit about it before it was officially announced. This title might be more quiet. It might be something that we have nothing leaked about. So far, all we have is that it could be related to the tech demo that was released several years ago. So you guys could check that out, speculate away about what that could technically mean. Not necessarily news, but rumor mill. Good to know. Star Wars Battlefront, if any of you guys are interested in that, everybody is now going to have dedicated servers. Probably always going to have them, but they just wanted to announce that it's going to have that now. If you're looking to pick this game up, yeah, it's going to have dedicated servers. You won't have to worry about specific server issues that's going to come from this game. It's going to be coming out November 17th, which is not too far from now. This was at technically, I didn't even know this was at TGS, but well, I lied to you, I did. Sega showed this. Sega's publishing this game apparently over there, and they showed it on their little highlight reel. They were talking with PlayStation Life at TGS when one of the producers confirmed that it's going to have dedicated servers. Some more news, not related to TGS, guys, for real. Dragon Quest. You see, look at that, trying to say more TGS. So look at me on the Japanese mode. We're trying to get out of there now. Dead Island 2's director is now working on Horizon Zero Dawn with Guerrilla Games. His name is Bernard Demir. I want to wish I'm saying his name correctly right here. Demir. Yeah. So he leaves Jaeger for Guerrilla Games. If you don't know the team Jaeger, they did Spec Ops: The Line last generation, and they also were working on Dead Island 2. Now, the publisher that owns Dead Island 2, the IP, let go the team that made the first Dead Rising. Now, the team that made the first Dead Rising lost the IP. They went on to create Dying Light. Dying Light is, you would pretty much say, is the sequel to Dead Island 2 in the respect that the team that made the first Dead Island made Dying Light. Now, Jaeger was hired to make Dead Island 2, having nothing to do with any of the previous Dead Island games prior to that, to my knowledge, I believe. So, Jaeger was working on Dead Island 2. Brand new IP to them anyway. It's a brand new IP. They've never worked on it, so they're now having to put in their own philosophies and concepts to this game that doesn't have its original team backing it. So you could understand how hard that might be. The success rate of a game that releases from a team that didn't work on it before is actually pretty low. Having the IP doesn't mean jack nowadays. You could have the IP, but if it's not the original team, the likeliness of that game failing is pretty high. So Jaeger was let go. The team was let go because the game was essentially, to everyone's understanding, was canceled. So they canceled the game. I don't even know if they canceled as much as they were like put on a hold, but everybody's understanding is that it's canned. It's no longer releasing. It's ceasing development. So they're stating they parted ways with the studios, and somebody else might be working on Dead Island 2, but that is just, I don't know. That seems very unlikely anything else is happening with Dead Island 2. If it is, it's not going to be good. I don't know if another team could come in and redo what this other team was already working on. But their famed director is now working at Guerrilla Games. So thus far, people that I've left to work with Guerrilla Games include people who's worked on The Witcher 3 and people who's worked on the story stuff for Fallout New Vegas. So lots of people for the last several years, have been going to this team to work on Horizon Zero Dawn. Definitely builds the game up even more because all these people are putting, I feel, lots of pressure on the rest of the team to deliver a solid game. I feel the more big names that begin going to this team, the more people's assumptions of grandeur might rise, which is unfortunate if that happens. But what are you gonna do? So lots of news that's still being released. Lots of news still being released here. I don't want to have this cast drag on a little bit too much. So this has been episode 7 of the Foxhole feed. Like, comment, subscribe, share, what have you. I'll be back on Wednesday, and I'll also release a video on Friday called basically putting up together all the big top news stories that happen throughout the week. Just to be on the lookout for the latest game shows that are coming up. October 27th is going to be the Paris Games Show, where Sony's going to be there, and Quantic Dreams very much might also be there, considering that, you know, it's from the country that they're from. So that game, their new game IP, might very much get announced at Paris Game Show, and I actually expect it to. PSX, which is Sony's now annual event since last year, is going to be December 5th and 6th. So that's October 27th for the Paris Game Show, and that's December 5th and 6th for the PSX event. And thanks for listening, and stay tuned for our newscast. That's going to be coming up on Wednesday and also on Friday.